Welcome to On Art. I'm excited to be joined by our Executive Director Leslie Shaffer and artist Yapci Ramos, who's part of our Family History exhibition. Leslie and Yapci are going to talk a little bit today about her work that is part of our exhibition season this summer, and we're so excited to be able to chat with her, an international artist whose work is here at the Delaware Contemporary this season. So thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you for organizing and getting us together. So, Rapsy, it is such a pleasure and privilege to have your work at the Delaware Contemporary. It's a treat for Wilmington to get to see what you've sent us from Barcelona. And we were really happy to include you in this exhibition that's called Family History. And you are one of 5 artists that are looking at how the past, how your relations, how your family genetics have come into play in the way that you process the world, but also how you make your artwork. And so I would love for you just to get started and tell us how this project, a little bit about your work and about this series in particular that you have shared with us. The Identity
Well, first,
series.
I want to say thank you to invite me to this amazing project. And yeah, for me, it was very like part of my, like all my projects are related in somehow all the time. They are in conversation. And I was doing one project through like prostitution. I was very deep working on that. And I was in Aruba, like, and I did a show in New York. The name was Perras y Putas, Bitches and Horse. Okay. And when I came back from that project, my auntie said to me, you have an uncle who has some like a taboo in the family, who has some same interest as you, like he has a hotel for dogs, luxury. And I'm like, what? And that's interesting. I say, yeah, he has some prostitution, he's involved in that. And I was like super like, how this can happen? I don't know that uncle at all. I didn't know about his own life. He was a shaman. He was living in Venezuela with the Wayus, like it's such a like a specific person. I was thinking like, I'm curious about that. I want to know him because we have something in common. And that's why I start this idea about who I am, what is the legacy, who like it's my family, like how I start to work on that, like, and I start to understand more about this legacy, having conversation with him. I met him for the first time. And he gave me as a gift like a picture of himself when he was the same age as me. And I was thinking, well, what happening if I perform, if I trying to understand more about my physical, like me in a photo, like what happened if I trying to go in that moment in his life and stamp him and put myself and perform through photography. And this one was the beginning of that project, and through him. And after I looked at that photo, I said to myself, well, like this is very intense, but I want to keep going. I want to try to research more about family and research more about this, like physical structure and mentally and all this legacy. And I start to, was beautiful because I start to have, to research very deeply in this family issues. And what happening is like I do understand, like I'm part of each of them, in different ways, and I was talking about, the project started like that. And yeah, and I was very very surprising, how many things I discovered through that project in my ancestor also,
Yeah.
like also talking something more deeper, like what means to be to born in a place like Canary, being
Mhm.
African and colonized for the Spanish, you start to boom, to open the doors and doors, no?
Give us some specific things that surprised you. What were there some that you were shocked by? It sounds like you knew a little about your uncle going into that conversation, but then you expanded to how many relatives did you work?
I did 9 in total. Yeah,
9.
I was exploring more, but at the end, I choose 9 to do
Mhm.
all the series. Yeah,
What did you learn? What was fun
yeah,
to learn?
yeah, like things like like for example, something like talking about gender too. In the somehow when I put myself like being a man or a woman, or like at the end, all this transition,
Mhm.
like when yeah, like how this, like sometimes be a man and sometimes be like in the middle, and like all this, yeah, gender was something come up.
Mm.
For example, something curious, like something I was thinking through the process, like was like, I don't want to buy any clothes. I want to try to see if I can find clothes in my own, like was super surprising, like we have the same taste
Oh
even.
yeah.
Like yeah, was like
So, oh, that's interesting. Brittany would be
like
interested in that too. Clothing is actually a genetic choice.
what. Yeah, this one was very like wow,
Uh-huh.
because I was thinking maybe I have to buy like clothes to go to that photo, and I was thinking let me try my
Mhm.
own clothes first. And
Mhm.
yeah, surprising, I found everything. um Also, the color I choose for the pictures is coming from my own skin. For example,
Okay.
I did like a zoom in. I did a zoom in my skin, and I go deeper, and that's why also I choose the color of the different color of the pieces.
Now, how many of your subjects or your relatives did you meet in person? Some of them, were they deceased or were they all alive? Were you able to personally connect with them, or were some of them just a photo that you had to reconstruct that history?
Yeah, some of them was only a photo.
Mhm.
In the case, for example, of my uncle, the one I only saw him once because he died
Mhm.
after
Uh-huh.
after a month or 2 months. Yeah,
Oh
couldn't
boy.
have more. Yeah, and yeah, and others wasn't alive, and like
Mhm.
my grandmother, for example. No,
Mhm.
you already have in the,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, this one. Yeah, but like the thing is like I go there through the others, and this
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
was like trying to construct
Mhm.
all the identity of each of them through the voice of the other, no, of these
Mhm.
crossing lines.
You probably made connections with people that you hadn't in a while. So bringing your family probably a little bit more in communication, I would think, than in the past, for good or for bad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, exactly. Because yeah, of course, because you understand more yourself because you understand
Mhm.
more your family, where you come from.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes, of course, everyone has taboo. Everyone
Mhm.
has silence like nobody want to talk about things. And this one also, if you go, in my case, when I went there, like I totally understood
Mhm.
more my background, and myself for sure.
Mhm. And who you are. There's another artist whose work is in the gallery, and he initiated a project. It comes off very different, but I think they began similarly, where he saw relatives on Facebook, on social media, who he had never met before. And some of them were in Puerto Rico, and some of them were in the US. And he really started then thinking about who he was. And it led him down similar investigation, but ultimately a completely different project, which I thought was fascinating. Your project has taken an image of your relative and an image of you. So there are two photographs. And can you talk a little bit about why you made that choice to not just have them side by side and to really integrate them, and really what the technology is behind making that happen, because they are so cool. We got such a great response when it opened on Friday. People are like, "Whoa, how can I, see both people at the same time?" So tell me a little about your process, please.
Well, to me was always very important, like well, in that case also, okay, if you put these two photos like that, you see one and you have the other one. But to me, because my experiences when I went in that moment was what I was a channel, I was like I could put myself inside. I performed, but not. I couldn't go like I perform and not be. I really felt them. I was, and something like happening there, like we mix both of us, and this experience need to be there. That experience was very, and also this idea, like the audience can choose if they want to see one, if they want to see the other one, they want to see in the middle. They want to be in that, in that blurry. Like, because at the end, the I think the question is like when the audience see the work, like I will love, like if they feel themselves who I am, what happening if I do that with myself, like all this idea, no, the
Absolutely. I had
and
one of our okay.
No, keep.
I was just going to say, we had a guest come in with her daughter, actually two guests come in with their daughters who I had never met before. So immediately I'm looking at the two of them together, so this has informed my practice. And so now I'm like, whoa, I have to take you in to show you these works right away. And you guys have a conversation, because they're adult children, right? And so they're in their, later 20s maybe. And they're starting to, they have their own lives, and they're trying to make decisions, and and they're trying to set their own identity, and so but here they are with their parent. And it was fabulous to kind of see them look at each other again in a new way after looking at your work. I thought that was really remarkable.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, because also, something also about, I have to say, after to see all like, I'd be like my father, and I'd be like my mother, and I'd be like my uncle, and I'd be like my, like your ego goes like, okay, like, like you realize, like you are pieces of all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's also, that was very touched me very much with that work.
Well, and I think there's a bigger important message too, is just that respect for a person being so unique, that they aren't one or the other or identical to someone, but they have so many different elements that they bring. And like you said in the initial, it could be gender, it could be interests, it could be physical, it could be so many things. So I'd love to know, you do a lot of installation work. And this was a different kind of project for you. I know ideally you would like to see them all together, but it's not in the similar way that you've done installation in the past. So how do you see this work fitting into the bigger body of what you've done? One, and then has this project led you in any new ways of thinking about future projects? Has it changed maybe a trajectory for you, or a path for you to further explore just a different topic? I'm curious.
Well, I have to say, like from this one, I'm very working in some, also my ancestor from Canary, like what I
Mhm.
say before, like we are coming from the north of Africa, where background is Berber, and now I'm working with identities, performing. I'm also
Ah.
going deeper in that. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. You know, like was like a door opening
Mhm.
in, yeah, in the way like I'm feeling myself to perform not only in front of the camera and be like I want to be more acting.
Oh,
Yeah, and
okay.
this, yeah, and this one is now my I'm focusing on that now.
Mhm.
I'm
So making
working,
film, maybe?
well, making film could be, but also acting in the way like performing. I
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
like more performing in the way like yeah, in the venues or openings, or be more myself, not only through the camera, through one element, like be myself more, me and the audience.
That's really interesting. There, in this suite of exhibitions that we opened this summer, there's another a photographer who is more a directorial style. So she herself is not performing, but has engaged friends, family, colleagues to be to perform a more. They're all men, and they're all Black men who have, throughout their lives, younger Black men throughout their lives, have been given kind of this role by society to be very masculine, right? That this is, you should behave in a, in a kind of rough and masculine way. And so she has positioned them as more feminine, right? She's asked them to kind of change that role and be performative. And so I think those projects are really successful in allowing audiences to, question societal norms and really question, motivations of the artist. What are they trying to get at? What are they trying to communicate with us? So I'm anxious to see that next suite from you and what you're working on. Um, so let me see. You've answered a lot of questions. I'm just kind of curious if there's anything else that you would love for the viewers to get from your work as kind of a conclusive kind of project. What, as the artist, do you want them to go away with?
Well, I I'm like feel totally like trying to go, when you see the work, if you say my identity work in there,
Mhm.
like I would love to say like trying to open and bring from to yourself the project, like
Mhm.
doing yours, like don't see myself, like see
Mhm.
you on,
Mhm.
when you see that work, like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, and it's
this
not that scary, right? Sometimes I think people are intimidated about this kind of, it's intimate. It's easier to talk to a stranger sometimes, I think, than to a family member. And, to get in and really be, um, accepting of what you might find and of what consequences might occur. So for me, I think that's definitely something to push towards our audiences. There's another artist in the exhibition with you, and his work is about memory, and it's his own personal memory, not so much that of his relatives, but it's about where he grew up and what he experienced and some of the challenges that he encountered that were likely to be prohibitive for him having a successful life, so to speak. But I think, what was the most difficult for him was to allow himself to go back, to allow himself to kind of revisit the past. And so I think that both of you are very brave, and inspiring
yeah,
to us all to say, who, where did I come from? Who am I? How can I, break down these barriers, or at least better understand them in the context of today. So I thought it was really a remarkable project.
Yeah, and of course it hurt, you know, but
Yeah.
also like of course, you know, like when you go
Mhm.
there, it's like Spain, but also it's like very helpful, you know. It's
Mhm.
like after you go there and confront yourself and, you know, like see, it's after, it's such a relief, you know, like such a good.
Mhm, mhm. Right, you feel that you're glad that you did it, good or bad. It's now something that you know and can embrace, and kind of move forward from, right? Whatever direction that might be.
Yeah, and always family is this, no, a little bit like
Mhm.
family. Always we all of us has this um yeah, this
Mhm.
like you don't want to go there because always we have this holes, let's say.
Okay. So tell me, I guess, one last thing about your new project, Canary. So having never been, unfortunately, to the Canary Islands, how would you describe that population? Obviously, it's tropical, and very warm, closer to the equator than we are here in Wilmington. So you have a tropical environment, and you also have an island environment. There's another team of artists in your exhibition that chose an island environment for their project. And their project, they're I think half Jamaican. So they lived in Canada. They have roots in Jamaica. They lived in Asia, but the island always presents itself as both a getaway, a refuge, a place to unwind and reflect. But sometimes I think from an islander perspective, something that I'm personally not familiar with, it can also be limiting and alienating. And so I'm curious about your thoughts on this next project, and if those kinds of ideas will come into play for you.
Well, yeah, for sure, island, like you need to go out and back, you know, all the time, like because it's very limit, as you say,
Mhm.
and also like you feeling somehow, well, these one are very volcanics, and these one are
Mhm.
very like you are like they are very inspiring, and like all these magical and religion about our ancestor are, and also we are three continental influence, like African,
Mhm.
European, and
Mhm.
Latin America. Okay, we have like a, like, you know, like in the middle of
Yeah.
and this one is very very specific, the and yeah, and it's very rich, and I'm now working with the Museo de Historia y Antropología, you know, I'm
Nice.
working with
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
archaeology here, yeah, in that project, because I want to understand clearly why I'm being like a year, you know, like
Mhm.
with my research, like understanding what happening before to be colonized,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
how was this territory, how was what happened in here before,
Mhm.
and what happened now is like in our memory, historical memory, we only have this colonized, of course, information, you know, the people who
Mhm.
colonized the
Mhm.
islands, and
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
don't have like others identities, you know, only have men identities. With I'm trying to create and trying to go there and trying to 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 embodiment these
Mhm.
identities through all the information, the archaeology.
That is fascinating. And very important. I think it's the work that artists like you are doing to dig back in history and to enable people to better understand from the perspectives that aren't always obvious or aren't always presented to us is really important work. So I hope that you will share that with us when you are at a place in the project you're ready to, because we would be really thrilled to see it here.
For for sure. We're very happy to do it. Yeah.
Yapci, it's been such a great pleasure. We are, like I said, so excited to have your work, and I encourage everyone who hasn't been down yet to come see it. It's up all the way through the end of August, so plenty of time to come down to the museum and look at her really amazing. They're so unique, these photographs, and I think it will definitely change the way that you see your family and see yourself. And so it's been a pleasure, and I thank you for your time.